Hello friends and welcome to CJoy Yoga. I have got Dooley, he'll be showing some of the poses, and then Sarah, my dear friend Sarah, will be showing the poses, all of them for you in proper formation, unlike my cat. And we are in front of Terry, which is my new home. For all my friends who know that I moved into a little RV trailer, we are right in front of my home. So that said, we're just going to kind of do a general once all over. We'll do a little bit of upper back, just because Sarah has a little something going on in her left shoulder, so we're going to see if we can't get that to strengthen and just maybe open up that chest a little bit as well. So that said, go ahead and let's start in child's pose. So she's going to come on down. Oh, and also have 2 blocks available if you have 2 blocks. Her knees are a little wider than her hips. Her big toes come together to touch. She lets those hips move down towards the heels. They don't have to touch, right? You're just softening them that way. And you'll notice that her forearms are down on the mat. If this is not comfortable, you can lie on your back with your feet on the ground, knees bent, and you'll meet us in a little bit. Otherwise, let's take about probably 7 breaths from here. So take an inhale, filling up from your low back all the way up to the upper back. And when you exhale, soften the muscles of the face. And inhale from that low back, bringing it all the way up to the upper back. And this time when you exhale, soften the shoulders, arms, hands, and fingers. Inhale, filling up from bottom to top. Exhale, neck, throat, and down through the torso, all the way to the belly and the low back. Inhale. Exhale, 1 for the hips, just the hips, soften the hips, let them have weight. Inhale, and this exhale, let that softness move through the legs, all the way down to the feet and the toes. And then with the next couple of inhales, really focus on trying to expand your back body as much as you can. This is one of my favorite positions to try to expand the rib basket. I'm calling it rib basket instead of cage. Cage implies that it doesn't move or have mobility, right? It should. So can you expand the back side of that rib basket, your low back area? And if you are on your back, you're going to come and you're going to meet us in this pose, but your hips can always be higher, or you can have a blanket behind your knees. Otherwise, from anyone in child's pose, you're going to go ahead and you're going to stretch those arms out, straightening the arms. And let's take our hands wide to start. So walk your hands out until your pinky fingers come at least to the edge of the mat, maybe a little off, whatever feels nice in those shoulders, taking a little extra space. And rooting down through the index finger and the thumb, right? Because that tends to not want to, so making sure it is also participating, and then keeping that action even as your outer upper arms, your triceps, right, pin in, or if it makes sense, rotate in towards the face. And then check in with those shoulders. If those shoulders are grabbing on those inner shoulders, let those inner shoulders soften just a little bit, and take one more breath, pushing forward and down, right, so that spine gets nice and long. And we're going to move this up into a downward facing dog. So keeping those arms built, inhale up to hands and knees. And then from there, you're going to curl the toes under and exhale back in a downward dog. If this doesn't work for you, half downward dog, where your knees are on the ground and your hips are directly above the knees. Now for my downward dog friends, it's probably going to feel really good to pedal the feet out. And I'm just going to quick show half downward dog in case any of my friends want that in-between space. Right? And my downward doggers, once you've pedaled those legs out a couple of times, right, you'll go ahead and you'll bend both knees. I want you to imagine that my hands were on the tops of your thighs, right at the hips. And I not only pulled the thighs back, but I also hugged the outer hips in and back. And then keeping that, start to reach those heels down. And they don't ever have to straighten those legs as long as that spine stays long. Let's get out of this downward dog. Inhale, and with your exhale, you'll walk your hands back to your feet. And let's hang for 2 breaths. So you can grab your elbow points or let your arms drape. The knees a little bent, so this focus goes a little more in the spine. And about 1 more breath. And then put your hands on your shins. You're going to inhale and come about halfway up, or I could say straighten your arms, and that does that, right? And then from there, Make sure your low belly is active, so low belly pulls up lightly. Put your hands on the rim of the pelvis, elbows up, and inhale, come on up to standing. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work Ardha Uttanasana, which is basically the pose that Sarah was just in, but we're going to do it on the blocks and see if we can't fire up some of those muscles of the upper back. So you can be wherever you want to be on your mat for this. You're going to put your blocks on high. Even if you're like, I can touch the ground, doesn't matter. There's still stuff you'll find here that you can't find if you go all the way in. Right, so from there, Sarah's just going to go into a forward fold. All of the weight is entirely in her feet, and she's going to bring 10 fingertip tips onto those blocks. If that's not okay, you can always bring palms down, right? Now with 10 fingertips, can you push down into the blocks? We're a little wobbly because we're on uneven ground, so hopefully on even ground you're finding a little more. And that same idea, can those outer upper arms, those triceps, can those triceps rotate towards your chest, right? Can your shoulder blades move down the back? And then with that, can the chest then reach a little further forward, right? Make sure that low belly is active so the low back stays long. And I forgot to tell her to bend her knees, but if your knees are bent, maybe working them towards straight, but at no point in time should that spine round up to the sky. If it does, you're too far in. Inhale, and exhale, she's gonna hang down. You can leave your fingertips on the blocks, the arms can hang, or you can grab the elbow points. Go ahead and take another breath. Now that might be your work, exactly what you just did. We're gonna do one more version. And since Sarah was able to straighten her legs, I'm gonna bring those blocks down. Do you want medium or low? Okay, so we're gonna do medium for her, yeah? So, 10 fingertips on the blocks, straight arms, and then bend the knees. This time I'll be wiser and I'll say that first. It helps us find the upper back, right? Straight arms, right? Pushing down, finding that tricep, that humerus bone rotation. And then once you have that, that allows those shoulder blades to move down so that middle back hugs in nice and tight, yeah? And then from there, I shouldn't say tight, that sounds aggressive. It hugs in and supports you. Maybe those legs start to straighten, heels pushing down. But again, don't let that upper back, that mid-upper back round up, or it defeats the whole purpose of what we're doing. Take an inhale. Exhale, soften in. Hands, arms going wherever it feels the most comfortable in your body. And then from there, put the hands on the shins, inhale halfway up and find that same work that you just did on the blocks, yeah? And if that means bent knees are coming higher, do it. Exhale, fold in. And this time we'll come up to standing. So put your hands on your hips, elbows up, and inhale, find that same spine, long spine, bring it all the way up to standing. And then go ahead and come on up to the top of your mat, and you can flip around if you want to stay more in the shade for your upper body. And you too can just flip around on your mat if you were at the back of yours. Whoa, new perspective on life. It's crazy, yo. And with an inhale, reach those arms out and up. You're going into a half salutation, everybody. And exhale, folding in. Keep that spine long until the last bit, and then it softens in. Inhale, hands on the shins, and can you find that same work we just did? Exhale and soften in. One more time, hands on hips, elbows up. Long spine, inhale, up. Exhale, arms by the side. Adding on. Inhale, reach those arms out and up. And exhale, folding in, long spine, but it does soften at the last bit, yeah? Inhale and reach that chest forward. And bend the knees and plant the hands and step your left foot back. And by the way, if you want to work with blocks here, and actually I'm going to put Sarah on blocks just to show this since we have the blocks today, right? She doesn't need a ton of height, but if I give her a little more height, oh boy, there's that upper back we were just working, yeah? And you don't have to work 100% and kill yourself, but we do want it to be activated so it keeps everything nice and long and supports the shoulder girdle, yeah? That heel is reaching back so that thigh gets buoyant. And maybe that right arm reaches forward. I'm going to add a little bit of strength in here on her. Right hip stays in. Don't let that right hip go out. And bring that right hand down. Bring the left knee down. And uncurl the toes. Inhale up into your low lunge, Miss Sarah. Anjaneyasana. Arms can come forward or out to the sides. Hands can always stay on thighs if that's better for you. So pulling back enough that you can pull those frontal hip points up so you have that nice neutral pelvis. Now on this side for you, Sarah, see if you can, all of you do this, right? Traction that left knee forward and the right heel back a little bit, right? So stay there, don't move it. pulling, tractioning, and notice how then the pelvis neutralizes and the pelvic floor turns on. Yep. Take an inhale, and with an exhale, go ahead and bring the hands down, and you can move those blocks. You're going to step back to a downward dog, and of course, if you prefer half downward dog, hands, knees, cat-cow, or child's pose, they're all on the table. And again, I'm going to show on Sarah's body one more time. If I was standing with you right now, I would bring my hands right into your hip crease. I would pull your thighs back, but I will also use the heel of my hand to hug your outer hips in. Take one more breath, inhale, and exhaling there. You're going to inhale that left leg into the air behind you, flexed foot, square hip. Now try to float that foot forward, and if it doesn't make it, you get to forklift it. Or put the knee down and step it, whatever you need. And again, because we have them today, bring those blocks in on medium or low, somewhere in there. So you can find this. So that's not the whole class, right? But there is a focus there today. And as that heel reaches back and that thigh gets buoyant, she may not reach that left arm forward without letting that left hip move out, right? So still like I was pulling those darn hips back. And enough of that, bring that hand down. Bring the right knee down, uncurl the toes, and come up into your low lunge. Anjaneyasana is the fancy name, right? And that body moves back far enough that you can find that neutral pelvis. That looks really great. Those funnel hip points are pulling up. Now, again, she doesn't need it as much on this side, but it's still a great thing to bring in for pelvic floor work. If you keep your legs, the feet where they are, but traction, meaning pulling, it's isometric. Pull the left heel back, pull the right knee forward, and that turns the inner groin and the pelvic floor on. Take one more inhale. And exhale, bring those hands down. You can move those blocks. You'll step forward to the top of your mat. Inhale that chest forward with that focus on that mid-upper back today. Exhale, folding in. And inhale, arms can expand out this time or hands on hips, whatever your preference is. And exhale, let's bring our hands to our heart today. I switched it up on you. Oh, because we already did it the other way, didn't we? Oh, I mean, go out and down, guys. And bring the arms by the side, and let's add in. Inhale, reach those arms out and up, and exhale, folding in. Hunter is now joining our female party. And inhale, reach the chest forward, bend your knees, plant your hands, step your right foot back. You can go ahead and bring that knee down right off the bat. We're going to move into a twist, Miss Sarah. Right hand under right shoulder. That can be on the block or on the ground. Left hand on the left thigh. Not the shoulder, the ground under the shoulder. Jiminy Christmas. Left hand on the left hip. I'm glad someone's here to laugh at me instead of just me. And then push into that leg and see if you can start to twist towards your left knee. Yeah? And then feel it out. If it feels nice to reach that left arm up, please do. Right? And then imagine that my hand was on your right kidney. And I want you to inhale deeply into that right kidney. And then with your exhale, does that help just soften you into that rib rotation any amount? I might not even see it, right? And then with the next exhale, you're gonna bring that hand down. If you'd like heat, you're gonna step back to plank. But if you don't want the heat, you're gonna go to downward facing dog. And I'm gonna let Sarah choose. She's been demoing bathrooms and such, so don't go too crazy, girl. Exhale back to downward facing dog. And these are filmed, so I have no idea when you're doing this, but if you're doing this right now, it's, a little bit into June, and here in Walla Walla, our weather has been all over the place. Hot, then cold, then wet, then dry, then you name it. So we're in that place, we still have a little bit of time to have a little bit of rigor to try to get some of that kapha, that excess mucus, that lethargy, all that stuff out of our system. Inhale the right leg into the air behind you. And you're going to exhale that forward between the hands. Bring that left knee down and uncurl the toes. Let's see if I can say it better this time. Left hand under left shoulder and right hand right thigh. Take an inhale, long. Exhale, moving towards the twist. And then, pardon me, you can test the waters, and if you want to reach that right arm up, you can play with that. You can also leave the hand on the hip the whole darn day. Now imagine that my hand was on your left kidney, and I want you to inhale deeply into that left kidney. And then with an exhale, maybe that got you a little bit of length between the vertebrae to bring you deeper into the twist. Right? And stay there for one more breath. And then when your next exhale happens, you'll bring that hand down And you're gonna float forward to the top of your mat. So curl the left toes under. Well, float's pretty strong. Inhale, reach that chest forward. And exhale, fold. And arms can reach out or hands on hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And whatever line you want, out to the side or hands to heart, you get to choose. And go ahead and bring those arms down by your side. Now I'm just gonna point out one thing on Sarah's body, right? And I'm not picking on her, we can all learn from this. This is my body, I talk about this all the time. She's doing a great job of moving those shoulders back and getting that mid back to fire up. But she's doing such a great job that the brunt of that is going into this part of her spine, right? So what happens, Sarah, if I ask you to bring your sternum in just a little bit and still keep that upper back, right? So there's not quite as much sensation here, but now we have more balance in the spine, yeah? So let's do one sun salutation A, and then we will we'll come on up and we'll actually start to cool down. It's not gonna be a long one today, friends. Inhale those arms out and up. Exhale, folding in. And inhale, reach that chest forward. It's the same exact thing I do. I flare my ribs like crazy. She's not anywhere near me. Go ahead and bend the knees and plant the hands down. Step the right foot back and then your left foot. And pause and plank for a hot second, right? Can you still find that middle trapezius, but can you keep the sternum in the low belly, lightly lifting to the spine? And then coming through your push-up. So rock forward on your tippy toes, knees come down or not, come through your push-up all the way to the earth. And from there, when you land, uncurl your toes, tops of the feet into the earth so the thighs get a little buoyant. And then before we lift up, right, what happens if you bring those elbows in towards each other, slide your shoulder blades down your back, and then with an inhale, now go ahead and let those shoulder heads start to lift you up, and it'll lift your head and chest as well, yeah? And she's not pushing down, right? But you can probably traction those hands back a little bit, and that might help the chest blossom, right? Take one more breath, and then with an exhale, come down. We're obviously gonna stay on our bellies for just a hot second. We're gonna do one Shalabhasana. So forehead to the ground, we're gonna go right into it. Interlace your hands behind you. If you're broad or tight shouldered, you can always just have the arms by the side if this is not comfortable, right? Same stuff. Pressing the tops of the feet, thighs get buoyant, tailbone down, your thumbs are actually on it. How about they push it down, right? And then as the knuckles reach back, you're gonna slide the buttocks flush to the heels. It's gonna lift your head and your chest, and here we are in the top body of Shalabhasana. So it's that same idea of the chest reaching forward, even though we're not tractioning the hands. And then maybe the toes reach back so much, they lift about an inch. Really reach through the big toes. And then maybe those pinky toes can have a little bit of weight if you feel like they're going up to the sky. One more breath, inhale. And with your exhale, go ahead and come on down. Turn your head either direction, arms by the side, palms up. And take a moment there. And I think I'm shape-shifting. I think I said we're gonna do one more thing, and actually we're doing this twice. Haha, oops, sorry. This is actually, if there was one thing I could give the majority of bodies that I work with, right, both students in class and private clients, people with injuries, etc., it is actually Shalabhasana, this locust pose that we're doing right now. So bring the forehead to the ground and interlace other index finger, or grab a strap, or arms just by the side. Push the tops of the feet down, thighs lift, right? And then inhale, start to reach those knuckles back, push the buttocks flush if you can, shoulder heads lift, chest reaches forward, and toes reach back so much they lift about an inch, right? And then it's not getting high. For some reason we get this idea that we come into this huge arch, get longer, and then imagine me drilling your tailbone down to the earth, right? And come on down, turn your head the other way. I didn't specify. Palms up, soft shoulders, soft arms, soft neck, jaw, tongue. So we're gonna come on up, and you might feel like you're ready for an upward dog. You might just go to a low cobra. So move the hands back this time, palms next to the low floating ribs. So move them back until your wrists are underneath your elbows. Yep, you got it. And press down the tops of the feet, thighs get buoyant. This should sound familiar. All right, tailbone down. Now on an inhale, come up just in a low cobra. Find the elbows moving in, the shoulder blades moving down. Now don't lose that. That's your upper back bend right there, right? Maybe you straighten the arms, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to, Sarah. But as you straighten the arms, the thighs come off the earth, right? So it's just the hands and the feet. The thighs are still buoyant, the tailbone moves down, and the shoulder blades move down the back, right? So that you get that beautiful chest opening. Now curl your toes under, and downward dog, downward dog, downward dog. There is nothing to me sweeter after doing upper back bends than a downward facing dog. That's me personally. I'm not saying you have to have the same opinion. And take one, except you should. Just kidding. One more breath, inhale. And on your exhale, come up on your tippy toes, bend your knees, look forward, step or jump to the top of your mat. And then I'm going to invite you to squat down from there to come to seated. So you can leave the fingers or reach the arms forward and try to leave the knees together as you bring the buttocks down. Oops. More of a core line with the feet together. And a little bit of a plop. And it took me a lot of years to get that, by the way. Letting those legs come on out. We're going to go into Janu Shirsasana, and I'm going to stay on the side so you have two different views of this. You're going to grab the inner right knee and bring the heel towards the pubic bone. Now, I tend to have a sensitive right knee these days, so I'm going to support my knee. You can, you don't have to. Let the left leg move out to the left just a little bit. Bring your fingertips next to your hips and try to find that spine. And again, just do a little double check in that sternum. It's not that it's slamming in, it just shouldn't be puffing out, right? Now frame your left leg. Take an inhale, get tall, and then you're going to start to fold out over that leg. When you get to that point where it's starting to go to your final place, you're going to reach the right arm forward and out beyond your big toes, yeah? Now bring the hand to the outside of the leg, and you can kind of push the arm and the leg together and just slide or glide that hand forward as you get a little baby rotation and soften down. I'm hoping to get you into your lower right side back. We in there for you, Miss Sarah? If you're like, I'm not feeling it, here's a couple of possibilities. Can your right buttocks bone, right, sink further down and back? And can you steer your belly towards the left groin? We in there for you? It's just so tight, so bend the knee a little bit. Yeah. So if it's all hamstring, bend the knee a little bit and then try to reach. I got it. Yeah, and sometimes we can skirt the back of the left leg that way and get the side right waist, back waist. One more breath now that we're in. And inhale, reach that chest forward and come on up. I love these moments, and this is why I really like to have someone help me, is because it really helps us see like each body is so individual. It's so individual. So what I say is very general, right? Bring that right knee in. But finding the things that help you find your body, yeah? Grab the inner left knee and bring that heel towards the pubic bone, maybe supporting, maybe not. Right leg can go a little wide. Got space? Get nice and tall and activate that right leg a little bit. Now when you frame the leg, you're going to get a baby twist of the torso and you'll start to move out over that leg. And then when you feel like you're getting to an edge, pause. Reach the left arm forward and kind of beyond the toes, whatever that is to you, right? You don't have to be physically beyond them. Bring the hand outside the leg. And now push the arm and the leg together and glide forward any amount. Possible helpers. Soften the left buttocks bone down and back and steer the belly towards the right groin. Those are kind of counteractions to each other. Other one, maybe bend the right knee a little bit so you get out of the hamstring or the calf or the back of the knee. And maybe, if we're so lucky, we're in that lower left back, side back. One more breath there. Actually, let's take two. We talked a lot on the other side. We being me. And then with your next inhale, reach that chest forward and come on up. Help that leg out. Let's do one big old hamstring whammy, and definitely something that most of us can use, right? So get nice and tall, and then you're gonna go ahead and start to fold out over those legs, right? When you get to that place, grab your shins, and you're gonna pull your shins back to reach your chest forward, right? And then fold the rest of the way, not pulling yourself down, but pulling yourself forward beyond your toes the whole time. And you have two options. You can either keep pulling, Or you can soften the arms by the side, letting the forearms just kind of move up, and just be really soft with it and round the spine in. Now, if you have herniated or bulging discs, you know, you shouldn't be doing forward folds. Hopefully you know this, but if not, you can still do this hamstring stretch. You just wouldn't round your spine, right? And Sarah's doing a great job of pulling her pinky toes back, rotating her inner groin down so the toes point up. Those are some of the usuals I always point out. Last breath here, soften the neck, the tongue, the jaw, the brow. And then with your inhale, you're gonna reach your chest forward, lengthen the spine. For today's purposes, right, we're using a little extra core to bring it up. And we're gonna come down to our backs. So put your feet on the ground, knees bent, buttocks in the middle of your mat. And Sarah knows me well, right? Pushing down through the ball mounds, pulling the belly in. And here's that darn shoulder blade business again, right? To bring you down. Do you want to switch your head so you're not in the sunshine? Okay. So let's do a twist and then a shavasana. We're almost there, friends. So let's go a little higher in the spine since we've been working a little higher up. So bring those knees one at a time into the chest. Right knee in and then left knee in. And then you're going to tee your arms out, palms up. Inhale. Exhale, the knees coming over to the right. Allow that right pinky toe to make it down to the earth. And then if you turn your head to the left, right, maybe that left shoulder softens down a little bit. And here's another fun one too, potentially. Imagine, right, that you had someone holding on to the front of that left thigh, and I was pulling that left thigh forward. Does that help that left shoulder soften down? Sometimes we can get a little extra when we get that length in the spinal column. And then when you're ready, that next inhale is gonna bring you back up. And those legs will go over to the left on the exhale. Turn the head to the right. Notice how that helps the right shoulder soften. And again, I'm doing this on Sarah if you want to see it. I'm going to put my hand in that hip crease, and I'm not cranking on it, right? But I'm pulling that hip just a little more forward than to the left. A little forward, a little to the left. And doesn't help that right shoulder soften down once you lengthen that spinal column. And you can do that for yourself. It's nice to have someone else do it, but hey, you know, you can still find it. And then with an inhale, go ahead and bring that back up. Put your feet on the ground. Walk your feet out and lean the knees in a little bit. Walk your feet out wide. Sorry, lean the knees in. Now give yourself a hug with your right arm closer to your face than your left. And walk your hands down like you could grab the inner edge of your shoulder blade. That's not the objective, right? We're just separating the shoulder blades. And now soften your arms, your hands, and your fingers. 2 breaths. Inhale into the area right between your shoulder blades. It's not super sensational, but you are stretching that, so have faith and know that. 1 more breath, inhale. And exhale. You'll inhale the fingertips up to the sky, and when you hug yourself this time, you're gonna bring your left arm closer to the face than the right. Walk down, try to grab the inner edge and separate your shoulder blades a little bit. And then soften hands and fingers and arms. 2 breaths. Inhale right between the shoulder blades. By the way, your lungs are pretty much right there. And exhale. So can you expand that area? 1 more. Inhale, expand. And exhale. And then from there, you're gonna unwind and you're gonna start to make your way into Shavasana. If you have any kind of low back or hamstring sensitivities, you might just leave the legs like they were. But if it's okay to extend them out, take that variation, right? Arms out from the side a little bit. Shoulders softening down the back, not together, not like doors, right? Not like elevator doors, but moving down lightly. Now, just check in. If when you moved those shoulder blades down your back, your low floating ribs came off of the earth, can you soften the low floating ribs down so they touch the ground, but still just find whatever shoulder opening comes from that place? And soften your physical body from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. And then we we've been doing the mental practice of yoga, but this pose really is the epitome, right? In ancient yoga, They had physical postures. The whole purpose of them was to open the body so you could sit in meditation comfortably without being distracted by the physical body. So everything was geared towards meditation, right? So here we are in a short meditation. Every time the mind wanders off to a thought, and it will, not a big deal. The practice is we bring it back to the breath. And it goes off again, and we bring it back to the breath. Still with you. I will talk you out. I'll be here for the whole Shavasana. Let your next inhale deepen. And if you like a little bit of physical movement to get back in your physical body, feel free to wiggle fingers or toes or stretch arms overhead, or whatever feels nice. And then to come out of this, when you're ready, you'll bend those knees. If you have time at home, by the way, feel free to stay in Shavasana for a while. Rolling over to your side. And no rush at all, friends. You can take a breath or two there, but when you're ready, you'll use that top hand to push the floor away. Please keep the neck soft. And coming up to seated, you can get up and sit on something. You can sit cross-legged like Sarah. You can kneel, and you've got those blocks. You can kneel upon a block. Not kneeling, your buttocks come to the block. Right? We won't be here for long, but still finding a place where the pelvis is neutral and the spine can grow up out of that. And just checking in. And bring the hands together at the heart in Anjali Mudra, it's called. Inhale, maybe a little longer in that spine. Exhale, bow the head down. And just take a moment of gratitude for at least one thing in your life. Maybe you're grateful for 25 right now, but some of us, some days, we have a hard time being grateful for one. So find one thing to be grateful for. And namaste, friends. Namaste. And thank you, Sarah, for joining us today and being here. Heck yeah. Just remember, patreon.com, CJoy Yoga. You can support me. Thank you.